first, my thoughts on America in shutdown, day 51. Now, it's hard to imagine that there are actually people out there who seem happier when most of America is miserable. And conversely, they're miserable when most of you are happy. But that sums up things on the left in the age of Trump, and especially during this unprecedented COVID crisis. Now, with the pandemic as a kind of cover, they're excited about ramming through this new vision for a new America. And I'm not just talking about one where we wash our hands as often as we should or cough into our elbows. The goal here is to remake America into a progressive society, supposedly a more equitable society.
We're not going back to normal. It's back to a new normal.
And we may never have the normal that we had prior to COVID-19.
Let's take this experience and really learn how we can do differently and better with our education system in terms of technology and virtual education.
Now, let's face it. These people, a lot of them at least, didn't like the old normal. Why? Because in the old normal, the people elected Donald Trump. Today, the New York Times published a shockingly honest op-ed about what really irks the left about traditional America. One word: freedom. Open states, lots of guns. America is paying a heavy price for freedom, the title read. And in predictable fashion, columnist Charlie Warzel praises Europe's more enlightened approach to lockdowns and complains that we're just too free for our own darn good. Americans who question mandates on mask wearing are stupid, selfish, and dangerous, just like those gun rights advocates. This is what he says. In this narrow worldview, freedom has a price. It's a price that will be calculated and then set by a select few. The rest of us merely pay it. Dun, dun, dun. Well, wait. They're actually complaining about a select few setting the rules? But isn't this how the left prefers it? They certainly don't prefer rule by the people. People who still believe in at least quaint things like the First and Second Amendments. The left prefers rule by a few, maybe a few billionaire technocrats, or by unelected bureaucrats, and by liberal governors who prolong these shutdowns without legislative oversight at all. The entire of the people, by the people, for the people thing hasn't really delivered that progressive utopia that the left so desperately desires. But maybe, just maybe, the pandemic will.
There is a primordial American tradition going back to the founders of being freedom obsessed, even though we're a country founded on slavery and genocide, that we are blind to other types of threats, whether it's a virus, whether it's bank malfeasance, or climate change, what have you.
Now, let that sink in. We are freedom obsessed. Yes, I am. Guilty as charged. Freedom obsessed. Most people want to go on with their lives. You get the sense. You can see it around you. They understand that walking out the door every day entails risks, sometimes serious ones. The old normal to them means Little League and high school proms, graduations. It means church on Sunday or other types of worship, and work on Monday. It means dinner with friends and family vacations every now and then. Of course, it is a horrible tragedy that so many Americans had to die because of this virus that started in China. It's awful. But it would be an even worse tragedy if we lost our country because of it. We can never bring back those we've lost, but we can try to repair the cultural and economic damage before it's too late. This is how Barron's described the old normal. You know, that normal at the end of 2019 before the coronavirus? Households are in good shape. Unemployment is at half-century lows. Wages have been increasing faster than inflation, and consumer confidence remains near its highs of the cycle. That likely helps shoppers feel particularly jolly this holiday season, and they open their wallets to celebrate. Seems like a long time ago now, doesn't it? But rather than being happy that Americans were doing so well just a few months back, the airheads in the liberal media just became more bitter, it seems. Democrats became more committed to impeaching Trump at the time, and the American left became, frankly, just more unhinged. As most in the country were enjoying life pre-COVID, Trump's adversaries were engulfed in anger and resentment. Their faces told the story. Pelosi, Schumer, Schiff, Waters. And then there were the Trump-hating TV anchors and pundits pretending to be journalists. They all felt dejected and demoralized. Nicole Wallace, Don Lemon, Chuck Todd, Jake Tapper. But now they kind of see their opening. Re-energized, reorganized, maybe reinventing.
So what do we need to do to make sure that we actually help real people? And that goes for renters, but it also goes for mom and pop landlords. You know, one of the first things that we talk about, which is our first demand, is rent cancellation.
I mean, I've never seen her happier. I mean, she looked like glowing. Before, they argued that Trump was Putin's puppet, remember? Now they say he's a murderer for not being more like Putin and ordering the nation to close. Remember, in their utopia, you may get free bread and milk, but you won't have your freedom, my friends. They'll call the shots. You'll be traced and tracked, not just for viruses, but in every aspect of your life. You don't believe me? Let's take a look at the place they're praising for its responsible response to the virus, China. It has begun a bold mass experiment in using data to regulate citizens' lives by requiring them to use software on their smartphones that dictates whether they should be quarantined or allowed into subways, malls, or other public spaces. This is all being done for your own good, of course. That's what the left wants you to think. But is that what really Americans want? Those are my thoughts at the end of day 51, America in shutdown.